Hello world, welcome to the 95th Climate Change Emergency Awareness Protest. This is number 95. It's October 2nd, 2020 in Gettysburg, PA. It's not early morning, but it is morning, and the sun's starting to come up. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning coming up. Presently, evidently, President Trump has tested positive for coronavirus, and that's a big deal because of his age. And I'm sure he's getting the best medical care, unlike most people that don't have health care. So hopefully that, whatever happens, and whatever is as he says. But, this is what happens when you don't pay attention to science and pay attention to warnings and have your own plan and think you're smarter than the science. Now, I don't want to be vindictive about it or anything, but it is an example and a lesson to everyone in the United States and the world to start paying attention to science. And that's where we are with climate change as well. We have many people in charge that feel they know more than the scientists, and they're the brilliant ones, and in reality, you can't ignore evidence. And a lot of things are evidence-based, whether it's your leaders, in their positions, and yet people have dogma about what they believe the leaders are all about, what they're saying, as opposed to what they've done. And it's a wake-up call with this coronavirus that Trump has, that, you're not smarter than the science, you're not smarter than the evidence. The evidence is the evidence. So right now in California, you still have your extreme fires. They're under a heat dome, meaning that it's just going to get warmer and warmer out there, or, more droughty, if that's possible, that the fires are going to just keep exploding. And right now there are 300 major fires in California. And, it's not a good situation out there. And you had a ABC Live broadcast that had covered climate change for about 10 minutes, supposedly climate change, but it was by Ginger Z, and it was like at 8 o'clock last night, and it was horrible, because she basically tamped down any idea about climate change being as serious as it is. And these kind of broadcasts, you think they're going to be good, and in reality what they do is they thwart any efforts to take immediate action concerning climate change. They're saying it's not as bad as what people think it is and all this stuff. And I don't know the motivation behind the broadcast, but it was horrible as far as blaming the fires basically on the forest being overpopulated with deadfalls and all. So, rather than attributing it to climate change and drought as what's happening right now, and it's going to continue to happen in California for a while, until they get rain. And I looked at some of the weather reports, and it's at least 10 days till it rains again. So right now you have the Napa Valley on fire. That's the latest one, and that's where all the wine is grown, where all the wine is processed, and you have many vineyards there. So you have, I don't know how many acres were involved, but there are 80,000 or 70,000 people have been evacuated. And the lines that they've done in California as far as trying to contain all these fires, if it was stretched out, it would go from San Diego to New York City, which those from other countries, that's approximately 3,000 miles, which is, 4,000 some kilometers. So it's a huge amount of fire lines trying to contain this fire situation. And what's going to happen is these fires just going to keep leapfrogging everywhere. So it's very difficult to watch this happen and know the reasons behind it, and yet no one in charge, especially the President of the United States, refuses to acknowledge what's happening and the reasons behind it. There are 4 million acres involved, basically, in the West as far as on fire in California. And then you also have Oregon and Washington. And if you look at the drought monitor map, it's basically all but 11 states are in some sort of drought in the United States out of the 50 states. 39 states are in drought, have some sort of drought conditions, and many are very, very severe. If you look at the map, it's called the U.S. Drought Monitor on your internet. If you look at the map, the states involved, the heavy states involved, are from the tier states like the Midwest all the way to the West. So it's very scary to look at, and the potential risk for fire and loss of water. You have aquifers involved and everything there to keep getting drawn down. And it's keeping these aquifers going is going to be difficult because people need more and more water. So if you did the square mileage of the fires in out west, right now it's 6,200 some square miles, which is approximately Connecticut and Rhode Island. I don't know if I think that's just the California fires. So that's a huge amount of acreage. Right now, the Amazon continues to burn, which is way more than another genius yelling at me. You know, these people are idiots. Total friggin' buffoons, you know. And, you know, they think they're smart, and they're not. They're just total buffoons. And the idea of yelling at someone is just, my sign, it's backwards on here, but it says climate change, farmers, flood, fires, and food. What is to yell at someone about? You know, this is an insane country, and we really have lost our mind. And you know, I invite Europe and the other countries to forget about us for a while, because we can't get it together. We're a bunch of idiots. So, anyways, the Amazon, Africa, Australia, Central America, the Russian tundra, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, Kazakhstan are all on fire to different degrees. You know, so it's not just a fire. It's the, as I said on this poster board that I have, you know, it's the lack of food. Once you start having fires and famine, you usually don't have fires without some sort of degree of drought. So you have food being not produced, and then you start having famines, and then you start having diseases. It's a whole cycle thing, and as I said last week, many things are interconnected, and no one thing is by itself. So, as I said, with the USA, 39 states are in some sort of drought. You also have Hawaii in drought. You have Alaska in drought. Hawaii's having a severe drought. You have New England in severe drought, all the way from New York on up. You know, so it's not a good situation. And then you have, if you drew a line across the upper Midwest, all the way from the west to Pennsylvania, that's where the drought extends. So it's not a good situation at all. With every degree increase Celsius in the world's temperature, you have a 7% increase in water vapor as well, which is another greenhouse gas trapping, you know, environmental disaster for the gas. So it's an environmental disaster as far as you know, more and more gases keep escaping into the atmosphere. Right now, the Amazon has 29,000 fires in September, so that's pretty horrible. Where this beeping's coming from, I don't have any idea. Oh, it's behind me. So, you know, this is the 95th climate change emergency protest I've done. This is the 95th broadcast, actually 97 if you factor in other types of broadcasts, but this is the 95th climate change emergency broadcast. And when I started, you know, I had some hope that things were going to get better, but as you can tell, with all the trucks and all whizzing by, and nothing's changing, and people are becoming more and more entrenched. And surprisingly enough, it's not just the Republican Party and the people over on that side that refuse to believe in the science. You know, you have the supposed Democrats that are involved that supposedly know what they're very science-based, and they profess to be. But no one's out here, no one's saying anything, no one's doing protests. And that's the way it is around the whole country. And, you know, 500 people cannot uphold the weight of the world and try to pull people along and try to convince others that we're in a dire situation. I don't know what to do. I mean, I've been trying, and all I can do is keep doing my best. There are two organizations that are involved around the world, at least in Europe, that actually are doing a lot, which is Fridays for Future, which Greta Thunberg's had started, and there's many branches of that, as well as Extinction Rebellion, which is largely based in the United Kingdom, but they have branches that have spread the United States and Europe and around the world. So, you know, there are a couple organizations, but there are only probably about 500 people that really understand the dire situation we're in. And you know, it's evidence, and people need to wake up as to what's happening, and you can't wait for elections and your politicians to solve the problem. You know, if you do that, it's not going to work out. We're going to all die. And right now, hold on, people need to realize that these politicians are going to kill us. You know, they're corporatists in sheep's clothing. You believe that they're on your side, but the two major candidates right now, Trump and Biden, you know, there's nothing we can. So you got these people revving their engines, think they're all hot shit, and you know, basically they're telling me I'm full of it. And in about 3 years, I'd like to see their reaction. So, you got Trump and Biden that are basically corporatists, and there's nothing we can do about it at this point. We've been painted into a corner and in the United States, and I don't see how we're getting out of this climate change situation. Biden has thrown off now the Green New Deal and said he's got the Biden plan, which is about 1/4 as strong as what the Green New Deal was, which is about 1/100th as strong as what we need to have done in the United States and around the world as far as accomplishing our survival. So my hope is not very high, but I have to keep doing the right thing, and I'm very sorry for you guys and everyone else that don't know what's going to happen. And hopefully by watching these videos that you have some idea and some desire to do some research on your own. I invite you to go down the webpage that I have and Tanya has on here as far as finding out the facts and the truth. I post articles all the time, so it's not some crazy guy standing on the street corner by himself trying to convince people that there's climate change. So, there's tons of articles, and you too will become a climate change expert if you read through the articles and do your own research on YouTube. And I'll give you a list of people who are really good with climate change as far as getting information. So my estimate by 2023, which is only 2.5 years from now, that we're going to be in dire straits, and people are going to start to realize that we're in a hell of a problem, or maybe not. The media might keep downplaying what's going on. They're doing a real good job of downplaying the California issue and blaming it on deadfalls in the woods, and they're not acknowledging the situation we're in as far as how we got here, which is a drought condition which allows for fires. And it's not just a drought, it's severe drought. So my estimation is that the American Midwest and West will turn into a desert eventually, as will the Amazon. And it's, without those two things going to breadbasket, as well as the heating up of the environment and release of CO2, plus the permafrost in the Arctic. And there's tons of things, if you listen to these talks that I've done, that you know what I'm talking about. There's tons of things happening, and there's nothing really good happening as far as people taking action, or politicians or countries. And we are in dire straits. And as I said, by 2023, I think it's going to start becoming very apparent that something is way off and way wrong. And by 2026, and I could be off by 10 years, I don't know. 2026, I think we're going to have trouble surviving as a society and life on Earth in general. And the struggle begins at that point to just survive. It's going to be a breakdown of governments, a breakdown in food processing and food production and distribution. So I really suggest people get on this. I'm just blathering away to myself as usual. And, as I said, 500 people around the world can't pull the weight of 7.5 billion, especially when those 500 people are not the leaders of the world and not elected. So you need to start paying attention to the scientists. The media needs to get on this and actually have scientists on and people who know what's happening and can give you facts and not just emotional talking points and what they believe. This is actual facts, and this is what's happening. So I recommend, you go on YouTube and Facebook. As I said, our webpage, Jim McHenry, on Facebook and YouTube. Tanya is in there occasionally with some of the talks. You got Roger Hallam, who's really good. He was a professor in England, and right now he's a political prisoner in England. And I asked Extinction Rebellion to wake up and try to get him released. He's in a prison that is just unbelievable. You have vermin running around like roaches and mice. His toilet won't flush. He's got excrement everywhere. He's not given any hot meals. And this is because he supposedly violated bail by throwing paint on the walls of corporations that are intent on killing everyone on the planet. And it's kind of odd that the person who's trying to save the world is one who gets thrown in prison, and the people that are trying to end the world are the ones that are walking scot-free and allowed to exist and not shut down. So it's a very odd philosophy we have going on with capitalism. And eventually capitalism will collapse because eventually the planet is finite and the resources are finite, and you can't keep going like this, and the pollution in the air and everything. So it's going to come to a head, and it is coming to a head now, and people don't realize it. Anyways, Roger Hallam on YouTube and Facebook. You have Extinction Rebellion, really great organization on YouTube. Environmental Coffee House on YouTube and Facebook. You have a guy, Philip McMaster, who has more of a philosophy on how to deal with what's coming. He's really good. He's from Canada. Paul Beckwith from Canada. He's a professor. And if you want to be informed about climate change, he's really excellent. You have Peter Wadhams, who's an expert in ice in the Arctic, and he's been doing research here for 50 years. You have Peter Carter, another climate change expert and scientist, and Kevin Anderson, who's another climate change expert and scientist. So all these people are on YouTube or Facebook, and I have 95 videos. We'll have 95 videos after this one on YouTube and Facebook, and I invite you to do your research and go down to my page and try to understand what's happening. So the next talk will be next Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure which. I might do a remote location. And special place, and Tanya will hopefully jump in with that one. So that'll either be on Thursday, October 8th, or October 9th. Not sure, or as late as October 10th. Somewhere in those 3 days, I'm going to do another broadcast, and hopefully it'll be a good one and a more positive one. But it's doubtful, since the world is not playing along and will not come along, and people are sitting on their hands waiting for every election rather than actually doing something and forcing the politicians to do something. So it's a one-man show right now today, and it's very sad to do this, and it's very frustrating. But the only reason it's frustrating is because I'm expecting an outcome, and instead of just do the right thing and things will do what they do, and I might very well fail in my efforts to get something accomplished. But the whole purpose of this was to inform people all along anyway. So this is number 95. Next week will be number 96. I'll see you then.